I'll tell you what a phenomenal speaker. I mean, Ray did a tremendous job in kicking off the conference. You know, it's one of those things where you think you have an understanding of what's going on in your world in terms of research and what's happening and that type of thing, but my gosh, I was just amazed.
It was an amazing overview of what the potential for the world could look like, and it was very positive and often he had a very positive viewpoint, which is kind of contrary to what we often hear about, well, what the future of our resources is going to be, what the future of technology, how that's going to impact us. So it was very positive.
This is a really good idea that we need to put good engineering with the people together, not just talking about how we can advance the science or technology without thinking its impact on people.
There's this Danish philosopher, cartoonist, who said it's hard to make predictions, especially about the future. Once architecture and the built environment starts moving at the same pace as information technology, then it's going to become really fun to be an architect.
So I actually do think that the sort of the urban environment 100 years from now won't look anything like it does today, and I think that sort of continuing to advance that and being part of that is really the domain of students, you know, that the students have the imagination, they have the ideas. They're the ones that are going to take us there, so I think they play this essential role in the process.
The reason this is a great opportunity is so I can find out what's happening in my area of interest, like architecture, but it'd be outside of like the college experience, kind of, what the real professionals have to say about it.
Every step you take, it just seems like there's more and more opportunity. And being still a graduate student, it's awesome. So seeing that and really applying that to what I'm doing now and the classes that I'm taking and the things that I've learned, it's just kind of cool to look forward to it. So,
in conjunction with the conference, we decided to do an outreach component and ask the K-12 students across the state, what do you think the 22nd century buildings, cities, and bridges would look like? And they were given the option to do a physical model or do a poster explaining their ideas. One of the things that is refreshing to see the optimism and the innocence in the, and that's exactly what we wanted, that creativity coming up, and all the buildings will fly and they will be about the clouds, and why not?
Sometimes I feel like I'm very limited by my surroundings, and if I participate in this, I can get the opportunity to listen to people from the other field, and that's inspiring me to getting a new idea in my research.
We know this much. Our country is not investing in infrastructure right now. That's the daunting part of this whole conversation, is in order for us to sustain ourselves as a country and as a planet in the future, at least from a country standpoint, it's kind of frightening, quite frankly, to figure out how are we going to position ourselves for global competitiveness when we're not willing to make these infrastructure calls.
We as researchers here at the university are trying to go more towards collaboration, and if we do that within our city systems, I mean, it'll definitely be an improvement because we're now sharing spaces, we're now sharing our lives. It's a more global community, I believe, and so I think the last presentation was outstanding. I really enjoyed it.
I think they did a great job of interrelating building design, and yet where does that fit into our social network and social environments. I believed each architect gave a good expression of being able to listen to their users or their constituents, to their communities. So that's what I really enjoyed a lot.
We often attend conferences that are within our comfort zone, within our exact field for which we're working, conducting research or working on new design principles. When you come to a conference like this, we're reopening our eyes to see how do we rethink futuristic, maybe down the road, different ways of solving problems.
as we go into the future and go into the 22nd century, of course there's a lot of great ideas, there's a lot of innovations, but to really push those forward into something that becomes meaningful for people, whether it's in an economic or societal context, you need entrepreneurs. And the best place to find them is in engineers, because they have the capabilities. So if engineers have an entrepreneurial mindset, they will take us into the 22nd century.
Well, for me, the biggest challenge is taking all of this wonderful new technological capacity that we have heard about at this conference, all these marvelous innovations from the biological and the nanotechnologies to the building technologies, and applying them to the billion people in the world today who are living in cities off the grid in slums and squatter settlements.
A big part of what I saw was the social aspect of the future and what it's going to look like, which I've never really thought about for transportation, so that's an interesting take on what's going on.
So by doing things like this, education, you bring in outside influences instead of just being in this closed system that you're getting into as a university, which is sort of necessarily closed so that you can get a lot of things done fast and teach students well, is that then you open it up and bring in some fresh air, and so that's our job. We're here to bring in fresh air.
Well, I think the strength of this conference is that it focuses so much on the future, and the people that I've met just today all struck me as people who are getting outside of their daily work, which is very focused on project management and completion of existing projects, and thinking about the bigger scale issues of the future.
I think this is the right subject in the right time, and it was, as I mentioned, a very thought-provoking topic, and basically we got to think about future. Past is past.
It gives us an opportunity to mix with industrial people, our education colleagues at the university, and talk about these issues in a forum that we generally won't take the time to do it. And so it's really a great opportunity to exchange ideas.
It's great. It gets you out of the day-to-day and to really think about what the future could be, and bringing those thought leaders together. It's just a great opportunity. I'm really glad the College of Engineering has done that.
And I think what this kind of conference does is it opens people's eyes up to not just what are we going to do as engineers and architects within that built environment, but how are we going to help influence the political structures that would support the kind of discussions that are taking place at a conference like this.
The more that we can be good architects and engineers and listen to what our clients want and need, think for their future, not just design something that's going to answer their solutions or issues today, but look to what their future may be.
I think being able to understand what our goals are for the future and start to plan for those things now are very important.
What's really interesting about this one, that Tim Way, when he first talked to me about it, he said, I want to look at 100 years. I mean, that, you know, normally you think about things, people talk about where are we going to be in 10 years or 20 years. I think the longest I've ever thought forward was about 50 years. I think that was really a provocative theme and a provocative idea, and I think it's kind of got everybody having to think harder than they normally do.
Why do we build what we build, and are we doing what we should be doing for the long term? And thinking about that in a mindful way so that we're really conscious about the impact of our decision making.
To remain relevant as a profession, we need to keep an interest in where's the world going, where's life evolving to, and how can we accommodate it.
I think it's critical to have a conference like the one we're experiencing here, because a look toward the future and understanding how engineering fits with society and the world around us is a critical step in making sure that we're not just journeyman engineers delivering to a specification, that we're really looking more broadly and solving the world's problems.